What you're about to witness is one of the most explosive jurisdictional confrontations ever recorded inside an American courtroom. A moment when a 42-year-old FBI special agent stepped into Judge Frank Caprio's court, believing his federal badge placed him above state law. What followed wasn't just a legal defeat. It was a complete constitutional collapse that ended a federal career, because that day, one federal agent learned the hardest lesson of his life. No badge outranks the Constitution. But before we break down how this shocking showdown unfolded,
It's a calm Monday morning in Providence Municipal Court. The kind of morning Judge Frank Caprio has seen thousands of times before. Traffic violations, parking disputes, minor infractions, ordinary people hoping to resolve their cases and move on with their lives. Judge Caprio, now in his 70s, has spent decades on the bench. He's heard every excuse imaginable, every story, every attempt to bend the rules. At exactly 9:15 a.m., the courtroom doors open, but not quietly. A man walks in with unmistakable authority. Sharp suit, perfect posture, confident stride. Marcus Webb, age 42. 18 years as an FBI special agent in the white-collar crime division. His badge isn't concealed. It's on display, resting prominently on his belt. 4 weeks earlier, Webb had been stopped by local police and cited for speeding, 50 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour school zone during active school hours. He was driving his personal vehicle. He was off-duty. He was not responding to an emergency. The fine was $400 plus court costs. But Webb isn't here to pay a fine. He's here because he believes that federal authority should override local enforcement. And more dangerously, that his status as an FBI agent places him above a state court's authority. What Webb doesn't realize is that he's about to challenge one of the few judges in America who understands federal jurisdiction deeply and has absolutely zero tolerance for federal arrogance.
When the clerk calls his name, Webb steps forward with visible impatience. He positions himself not like a defendant, but like an interrogator. His badge catches the courtroom lights as if intentionally choreographed. Judge Caprio looks up from the bench. "Mr. Webb, you're charged with speeding in a school zone. How do you plead?" Webb barely pauses. "Not guilty, Your Honor. This citation reflects a misunderstanding of federal jurisdiction and authority." The courtroom shifts. Judge Caprio sets down his pen, a small movement, but one that experienced court observers recognize immediately. "Were you conducting official FBI business at the time of the violation?" Webb answers honestly, "No, Your Honor." Caprio follows up. "Were you responding to an emergency or acting under a federal directive?" Webb exhales, irritation creeping into his voice. "Federal agents operate under different legal frameworks. We maintain operational flexibility that supersedes municipal enforcement." The words hang in the air. Webb has just implied that state law doesn't apply to him. Judge Caprio remains calm. "Can you cite a specific federal statute or Supreme Court precedent that exempts FBI agents from state traffic law while acting in a personal capacity?" Webb hesitates, only for a moment. "Federal supremacy doctrine establishes that federal authority takes precedence." That's when the tone changes, because Webb has misunderstood one of the most fundamental principles of constitutional law, and he's about to pay for it. But before Judge Caprio can respond, Webb makes a fatal mistake, one driven entirely by ego. He leans forward. "I've been a federal agent for 18 years, Webb says. I understand jurisdiction far better than a municipal court judge who handles parking tickets." The courtroom murmurs. Then Webb raises his hand and flashes his FBI badge toward the bench. "This badge represents the authority of the United States Department of Justice," he says. "I believe that carries more weight than a local traffic citation." In that instant, Webb doesn't just disrespect the court. He challenges the Constitution itself. Judge Caprio slowly stands. He does not raise his voice. He does not show anger. That's what makes it terrifying. "Agent Webb," Caprio asks calmly, "did you just attempt to intimidate a state court judge with federal credentials?" Webb doubles down. "I'm simply clarifying federal authority hierarchy, Your Honor." Judge Caprio nods, as if documenting every word for history. "I see." He opens a thick legal volume. "Agent Webb, you mentioned federal supremacy doctrine. Please explain the constitutional principle established in McCulloch v. Maryland." Webb freezes. "Federal law supersedes state law," he says weakly. "That is incorrect," Caprio responds. He explains, methodically, that federal supremacy applies only within constitutional bounds, not to personal conduct, not to state police powers, and certainly not to traffic safety. Speed limits in school zones fall squarely under the 10th Amendment. Then Caprio delivers the blow Webb never saw coming. According to the FBI's own professional responsibility manual, agents are required to obey all state and local laws when acting in a personal capacity. Webb's face goes pale. "And flashing credentials to influence judicial proceedings?" Caprio continues. "That constitutes abuse of federal authority." The courtroom is silent. Judge Caprio isn't finished. "You claimed experience made you superior in constitutional understanding," he says. "But today, you've demonstrated the exact arrogance that undermines public trust in federal law enforcement." Webb tries to speak. Caprio stops him. "Intent is irrelevant. Your actions are documented." Then comes the ruling. Judge Caprio finds Webb guilty of the violation, then finds him in contempt of court. He orders full fines, court costs, and directs that the entire transcript be forwarded to the FBI Office of Professional Responsibility with a judicial finding of badge abuse. "I am recommending a review of your fitness to serve as a federal agent." Weeks later, that recommendation becomes reality. Webb is suspended, investigated, then terminated. The video spreads across the internet. Federal training programs begin using the footage, and Marcus Webb's federal career ends, not because of a speeding ticket, but because he forgot who the Constitution answers to. Years later, Webb would admit, "Judge Caprio didn't destroy my career. I did. Because the real lesson wasn't about traffic law. It was about humility, about limits, about the truth that defines American justice. No badge grants immunity. No authority is absolute. And the Constitution outranks us all."